Sergeant Josh Goldschmidt with the Portland Police Bureau. I am here representing today the law enforcement work group. I'm also the co-chair of the law enforcement work group, and we have two proposals that are to be reviewed. The first one is for drone detection equipment. This money would purchase 4 small briefcase size, essentially radio receivers that are designed to detect drones flying in the area of outdoor incidents primarily. So we look at it as open air events like Grand Floral Parade, the amphitheaters up in Clark County, the events that are hosted up there, sporting events at the stadium like Timbers games and things like that. And then for more sort of emergency events, it could be large-scale fires or natural disasters where we've seen around the country, say, fire situations where operations had to be stopped because of drones flying in the area. So these are not, just to be really clear, these are not for any kind of object that flies. It's literally a briefcase that detects the radio signals that are occurring between the aerial vehicle itself and the controller. This is an area where the laws are changing really rapidly. The technology is changing really rapidly, and right now, really the best way for law enforcement to intervene in these situations is to find where the person who's flying the aircraft is located and contact them and get them to stop. And this equipment gives us the ability to do that. Any questions about drone detection equipment? Yes.
Do you have identified a make, model, and
So
is there such a tool that works with it?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually we trained with them and demonstrated them at a regional conference that was held in Bend this summer. The tools are somewhat model specific, so the particular ones that we use to come up with a number for a quote for this are really focused towards a particular product line, DJI. They hold about 75% of the market share in the United States. But again, by the time this money funds, that picture will have shifted probably 3 times. So we're really just kind of trying to position ourselves so that when the money becomes available, we'll pick something that covers the broadest range of consumer-flown drones out there.
I saw, just recently, like last week, there was a new FAA rule that requires now the drones be remotely identifiable. Will that make this any easier?
It's a proposed rulemaking, and yes, it would certainly improve the picture significantly. That has been in the planning phases for the FAA for about 4 years now. So, and there's a lot of complexities to that. It's really being pushed in large part by the desire to fly beyond visual line of sight, deliver packages, that kind of thing. So I would say by the time this grant funds, that may be in play, but there's no guarantee that all of the equipment out there will follow those rules.
I have 2 questions. Are there any other cities that are already doing this?
That are using this equipment?
Yeah.
There are cities, private entities. The company that we use to do this demonstration has put these up on football stadiums all over the United States for professional sporting industries. They're using them in DC and no-fly zones, areas like that. And there's a lot of testing going on around airports right now. There's quite a bit of interest there.
And my second question is, and I have zero knowledge of this, is would we need to change any policies that we already have, or when we start using these, or are there any policies that would contradict this? No.
So my initial thought is Probably not,
Okay.
but I say that very carefully because I think anytime we start dealing with tools that are detecting
Yeah.
other people's radio equipment, we really
That's
have to have a very sharp eye towards any personally identifiable information that we would be collecting. The system that we tested, no, it's very passive. It doesn't put out any identifiable information. It just literally says, there's a thing flying right here, and the controller that's controlling it is physically located right here. So this, currently in the region, there is a pretty big discrepancy between the law enforcement agencies that are using all encrypted radio transmissions for their dispatch nets versus like Portland, we don't encrypt our dispatch nets, but we encrypt tactical channels or side radio channels that we use for large-scale events. What we're finding over the last year is that that decision to not encrypt those dispatch radio nets has started to, we're seeing a rapid increase in situations where it's putting community members at risk. So I'll use an example of a stolen vehicle that officers pull in behind, recognize that it's stolen, and pursuit policy is pretty restrictive now. And so we've had incidents where we've brought in the aircraft to try and coordinate taking custody of the people in that. And those radio broadcasts, planning, decision-making are being monitored by apps on people's iPhones. And so the moment something that is identifiable about the vehicle is broadcast over the radio, the drivers put the foot to the floor and off it goes. And we've had what we would describe as eludes, because we don't pursue those people on the ground. We just follow them with the airplane that have approached speeds over 100 miles an hour with nobody chasing them. They just become sort of a projectile moving through the city. And we're seeing that in other areas too that are probably even more sensitive. So Clark County encrypted all of their dispatch nets. The Portland system, because we were planning ahead to do that, all of our radios have that capability. And with sort of this escalation in events that we've seen over the last year, the discussion inside the Portland Police Bureau is to accelerate our transition to encrypting those dispatch nets. That sort of blocks out a lot of our regional partners from being able to work with us. And the Fire Bureau would be a really good example. The purchase of encrypted radios is pretty good with the Fire Bureau, but we have folks like the Cheers van or ODOT, the PBEM, PBOT. We sort of have a list here that was put together by BOEC of all of the various agencies, Portland State University Police, OHSU. While they all currently have the radios, those radios aren't encryption capable. And so while the Police Bureau is ready to make that transition, this funding is to help our regional partners sort of accelerate their timeline as well. The cost is specifically to purchase replacement radios. So all of these agencies already have radios. They already manage those radios themselves. The ongoing funding for it is covered there. Any questions? There has to be questions about this one.
I thought there was, and I don't know a lot, but I thought there was a state grant program for radios. Federal and state.
I'm not, if there is one, I'm not familiar.
State interoperable
Yeah.
communications.
Is there a grant component to that?
I don't know if they cover this. I mean, I think,
New equipment upgrades
is
the
it,
internal system.
So
Did you guys do a count to see how many radios you thought you were going to sell?
Yes, and this wouldn't even come close to filling it. It was an estimate that was done by Greg Licati at ComNet. And again, the goal was really to make a submission that was very easily scalable, that would give us the resource to help the folks that were really struggling to find the funding to move forward. Portland State University, Multnomah County, Bureau of Transportation, those folks. He had a fairly good idea of what the number was for all of those folks, but outside of the purview that ComNet or BOAC services, he didn't have a specific number. We have discussions that really needed to happen to identify how big this problem is for the outside agencies outside of the Portland Police Bureau. Those meetings haven't really happened yet.
So not with Multnomah County Sheriff or?
No, but we do know
Hillsborough
from talking
Police
to
or-
ComNet, for example, Multnomah County Sheriff, all of their deputies' portable radios like this are encryption capable, but all of the radios mounted in their cars are not. So just Multnomah County alone, I think, had an $800,000 shortfall in terms of what it would cost them to get up to speed. Having said that, a lot of the agencies in the region have plans to do this eventually. But again, we're sort of accelerating that timeline, and so some of the smaller agencies that maybe never really intended to go there are going to